Welcome to Shadowproof. Evidence first, noise last.
The first thing Mark noticed was the smell ozone and wet earth, like the air after a lightning strike that never happened. He reached for his phone, his fingers finding the familiar cold plastic. But the screen remained black. No signal, no time, just a dead, reflective surface. Outside, the street he'd walked for 30 years was gone. Not destroyed, not overgrown, erased, replaced by a flat, silent expanse of damp, sticky mist. No car engines, no distant dogs barking, no hum of power lines, just the oppressive, cottony quiet and the faint metallic taste of panic on his tongue. He stumbled to his bookshelf, grabbing the framed photo of his family on their porch. The house behind them, the trees, the sky, all were now a smeared, grainy static, like a corrupted digital file. A primal dread took hold, a certainty deeper than bone. Every memory of this place, every landmark, every person he thought he knew, was being systematically unwritten. And in the heavy silence, a new sound emerged. A faint, rhythmic scratching, like nails on old wood, coming not from outside, but from the walls of the home that was no longer his. A GPS screen flickers erratically, its digital roads unraveling into void. Not destroyed, not abandoned, erased from every map, every satellite image, every database. And the only people who remember it are the ones still trapped inside. The backstory begins on a deceptively perfect day. Sunlight bathed the white picket fences and the cheerful main street, where the diner buzzed with life and the library stood as a quiet sentinel. It was a portrait of peace, a snapshot of a community unaware of the quiet that would one day claim it. This is Millhaven, Ohio, or at least it was. Population 347, once famous for its autumn apple festival and Mrs. Henderson's prize-winning pies. Now, a heavy stillness clings to the air, thick with the faint, sweet decay of forgotten orchards. Every window is a dark, vacant eye, watching. Henderson's peach cobbler was a speck on the map between Columbus and the void. For Sarah and Mike Carter, it seemed perfect. A fresh start after the city's clamor. A quiet place to raise their daughter, Lily. Golden hour light washed over the quiet cul-de-sac, casting long shadows. The air carried the sweet, earthy scent of freshly turned soil and blooming petunias. Lily's nervous laughter mixed with the soft crunch of bicycle tires on pavement. It was a perfect, ordinary afternoon, the kind of memory you cling to when everything changes. It was perfect. They'd been there 6 months. Sarah cherished the profound quiet that settled over the property each evening. Mike appreciated the expansive space that seemed to swallow sound and light alike. Lily adored the ancient oak in the backyard, which she insisted was a castle with secret rooms. The only anomaly was the town's founder, Elias Millhaven. His imposing statue dominated the town square, its stone gaze seeming to track your every move. Local whispers claimed he was a surveyor who declared this land unfinished. A peculiar footnote in history, nothing more. Or so they said. The first hint of wrongness arrived on a Tuesday. Mike, a freelance graphic designer, was deep in a project for a Chicago client when his home office grew unnaturally cold. The scent of ozone and damp plaster crept into the air, a metallic tang underlying it all. A faint, rhythmic scratching began from within the wall, like nails on old wood. In that moment, a primal dread took hold, freezing him before the monitor's glow. Mike typed an email, muttering to himself as he entered. Millhaven, Ohio. He highlighted the town name and right-clicked, selecting Search Google. His browser opened, but the search results page showed nothing but sterile, empty whiteness. A faint, metallic scent filled the air as the screen's glow seemed to leach warmth from the room. Mike's brow furrowed as he refreshed the page. Nothing changed. Weird. Must be the Wi-Fi, he muttered, more to himself than anyone. The air grew thick with the metallic scent of ozone. It wasn't the Wi-Fi. Sarah discovered it next, consulting her phone's map to arrange a weekend visit to her sister in Pittsburgh. The map displayed interstates and surrounding towns, but where Millhaven should have been, only green space and county roads curved around an inexplicable void. Her eyes traced the impossible contours as a metallic scent of ozone seeped into the air. Sarah's voice emerged thin and strained. Mike, can you come here? But the road atlas in their car was also blank, with only a smudge of ink staining their precise grid square. That night, the oppressive silence, broken only by the hum of electronics. Mike called his old college friend John, a data analyst. The line crackled with static, carrying the faint, metallic scent of ozone through the receiver. He explained the digital void, his words hanging in the damp, heavy air of the room. Mike's voice, tight with urgency, crackled through the phone. John, run a search for me. Millhaven, Ohio. The request hung in the static-filled silence, County records. Anything. John's voice came through the phone, muffled and bewildered. Mike's reply was sharp, edged with frustration. What do you mean? Not a valid query? John, I live there. A heavy pause followed, thick with unspoken dread. Then, the narrator's voice cut through the silence. John had just texted him a screenshot from a federal geospatial database. The coordinates for their house returned one word: null. A cold dread settled in as they drove toward the town limits. The air grew heavy with the scent of damp earth and something metallic.
They pulled up to the old "Welcome to Millhaven" sign, its paint peeling like dead skin.
The Carter's car came to a stop on the desolate country road. The "Welcome to Millhaven" sign standing before them with its population number violently scratched away. Beyond the sign, the asphalt seemed to dissolve into a faint, shimmering haze that hung in the cold air like a phantom heat mirage. Sarah's voice emerged as a tremulous whisper, barely audible over the oppressive stillness that had settled around them. Let's just drive to the next town," she pleaded, the words carrying the weight of a primal dread that had taken hold. They drove for an hour. The landscape never changed. The same endless trees, the same sharp bends in the asphalt. A stale, pine-scented air grew thick inside the cabin. Each mile felt like a loop, a road with no memory of its own beginning. The fuel gauge remained frozen, as though they were trapped on an endless loop. A metallic scent filled the cabin, sharp and unnatural. When they finally turned the car around, their own driveway materialized in under 5 minutes. The steering wheel felt damp and cold beneath their trembling hands. In Lily's room, she whispered to Sarah, her voice barely audible. "Mommy, the man from the square was in my dream. He was drawing with a huge pencil, but he was erasing things." The next morning, Sarah woke to a strange, unnatural quiet that clung to the house. The familiar drone of distant highways vanished. The sky remained empty, absent of plane trails. Millhaven sat in unnatural stillness. Then, reality began to stutter. Streetlights flickered with a sharp ozone tang. Pavement shifted underfoot like damp, shifting sand. A low-frequency hum vibrated through the ground. Windows rattled with a sound like distant, wet scratching. The air grew thick and metallic. Something was rewriting the town's reality. Each glitch left the scent of static and decay. Millhaven was being edited out of existence. A neighbor walks his dog behind a lamppost and simply never emerges. The Millhaven Public Library sign flickers, and for a single, impossible frame, the letters rearranged to read, Millhaven, Null Branch. Sarah studies a family photo on the mantle, her focus snagging on the house in the background, its edges dissolving into a blur of digital static. They weren't just forgotten, they were being actively, methodically unmade. A tense, throbbing synth begins to pulse, thick with dread. Mike's obsession with Elias Millhaven consumed him. He broke into the tiny town's historical society, the door swinging open as if awaiting his arrival. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of aged paper and something metallic, like old coins. Under the plaster bust of Elias Millhaven, his fingers found a brittle journal, its pages whispering secrets in the stillness. The flashlight's beam trembled across the page as Mike's voice, ragged with strain, broke the oppressive stillness. "The land is not complete," he read, the words tasting of damp paper and static. "The borders are mere suggestions. I have found the flaw in the canvas." A faint, metallic scent, like ozone and old copper, seemed to seep from the book itself. "With the right instrument," he whispered, the final phrase catching in his throat. "One can correct the draft. One could remove what need not remain." The instrument lay hidden on the journal's final leaf. A diagram of the statue's bronze compass, clutched in Elias's petrified hand. It wasn't a compass at all. It was a key. The town square at midnight was unnervingly still, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and something faintly metallic. Mike and Sarah moved toward the central statue, their footsteps the only sound in the oppressive quiet. Around them, the town felt less like a place and more like a hollow set, its buildings offering no comfort, only blank facades. A deep, instinctual unease settled over them, the kind that makes the skin prickle and the breath catch. Mike ascended the plinth, his fingers brushing the cold bronze compass. With a grinding rasp of stone on metal, the dial began to turn. Sarah's warning cry was lost in a sudden, ozone-scented stillness. The world did not shatter. It unraveled, thread by invisible thread. The buildings didn't collapse. They turned ghostly, becoming translucent, like ancient drafting vellum. The pavement peeled back in long strips, like old wallpaper torn from rotten walls. Beneath lay not soil, but a starless, depthless gray expanse, a void swallowing all light and hope. The sound that followed was a monstrous, echoing scratch, like a cosmic eraser scraping reality itself. Then, with the grinding protest of stone on stone, the statue of Elias Millhaven slowly turned its head. Its eyes were not stone, but voids, swallowing the light. A voice like grinding rocks and static crackled to life. A surveyor's duty is to clean the slate. This plot was a mistake. Through the dissolving world, Sarah saw Lily, a frozen figure on their porch halfway down the street. Lily was the only solid anchor in the unraveling reality. Her feet didn't pound on earth, but on the fading memory of it. Sarah's voice cracked, raw with ozone and panic. "Lily, hold on to the house!" she screamed, her fingers clawing at the damp, static-charged air. Her plea was a whisper, swallowed by the hungry dark. The sound abruptly vanished, plunging the world into an unsettling void. A profound stillness lingered, broken only by the gentle, rhythmic chirp of crickets. Then, a cut to a starkly different world. A sun-drenched Ohio morning. The Carter house stood silent and ordinary under the clear sky. Birdsong drifted through the morning air, a deceptively peaceful sound. Sarah's eyes snapped open, her body rigid in bed. A metallic scent filled her nostrils as she gasped, the air suddenly thick. She threw off the covers and ran, bare feet slapping against the cold floorboards toward Lily's room. Lily slept in undisturbed slumber, unaware of the disturbance approaching. Mike staggered into the room, his face drained of color like a ghost. "I had the worst dream," he whispered, his voice cracking with the primal dread. Was it merely a nightmare? A shared psychosis? The couple would spend the day in a heavy, bewildered daze. Everything was normal. Too normal. The town was intact, pristine even, like a museum diorama. People waved, but their movements were synchronized, a little too smooth. A sticky, cloying scent of honeysuckle and damp earth clung to the still air, masking something else underneath. But when Mike, heart pounding, went to the town square, the plinth where Elias Millhaven's statue once stood was now just a clean, square patch of newer concrete. A metallic tang hung in the air, sharp and unexpected. No statue, no history, just an empty space where memory should have been. After tucking Lily in, Sarah lingered in the doorway, watching her daughter's peaceful breathing. Lily hugged her favorite stuffed animal and whispered, "I'm glad the eraser man is gone, Mommy." Sarah forced a thin smile, the lie tasting bitter on her tongue. "He was just a story, sweetheart," she murmured, the words hanging in the still bedroom air. Lily pulled back, her expression grave as she locked eyes with Sarah. "He's not gone," she whispered, her voice carrying a strange certainty. "He finished here. He went to draw somewhere else." Her finger didn't point out the window, but at the wall, as if indicating a path through dimensions. Sarah followed her gaze, her breath catching as she stared at the unremarkable wall, now seeming anything but ordinary. And there, in the faintest, palest gray, like a pencil sketch someone tried to rub away, was the outline of a door that had never been in their house plan.
A door that led
Elsewhere. Final shot. Slow push-in on the faint, spectral door outline on the wall. The camera pushes in, tighter and tighter, until the plaster's grain dissolves into a field of digital static. Millhaven, Ohio, has no record, no footprint, but the instrument that wiped it from the earth remains operational. Its surveyor, the architect of that void, never sleeps. So tonight, when you unfold your own map, look very, very closely. Check the borders. Is everything where it should be? Or do you just remember it that way? The faint outline of the doorknob on the wall glitches, like a corrupted pixel, for a single, impossible frame. Then, blackness. The air grows thick with the scent of ozone and cold, damp earth. Narrator. What if your hometown is next?